three things before we begin. The first is that this is an amazing position that's really diverse and complex, and it connects to all sorts of other positions. You saw Colby talk about, well, if he does this, I might do that. If he does this, I'll go back to coyote. In the warm-up, we talked about how you can transition from the standing guards to this. It's well worth investing the time into learning this position, and there's tons of little complexities to it. We have Bernardo Faria, who's maybe the best to ever do it, coming in March to help us out with it. Second, saw how Colby used the lapel toward the end. The lapel is always necessary, but or always valuable, but you should never rely on it. So I'll show you some moves without using the lapel, and much like Colby did, I'll show you how, if we have access to the lapel, how it can help us. But nothing I'm going to show you is going to require this. It should work with any training modality. A lot of different ways to do deep half guard. Third, all of this cool, complex stuff, and it is all cool and it is all complex, starts with one simple thing, which is a viable threat of you bumping them off balance. And I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do that with our first basic sweep. So however we enter, and every technique has a setup, entry, and a finish. Colby showed you a way to get in. Continue to do that entry, or I'll show you a quick one from the shin-on-shin guard, and we can do that as well. But there are a bunch of other entries from escapes. We're coming up on our escape sweep, so we'll show you how to get in here from escaping the mount, escaping the back as well. So however we want to get in, we can do it from the coyote exchange that Colby showed, or I can go shin on shin, cup his ankle, rotate, and end up right on top. Now both folks are going to have a thing to do from here. Now you notice I ended up catching my front hook, right? This is good, no hooks are also good, crossing is good. Different things happen for different body types and are good for different training modalities. There's very little you can do wrong here. It's just a matter of what is your purpose. So for my purpose today, I'm not going to use any butterfly hooks. I'm going to pinch my knees together and bring my feet up. Now the butterfly hooks are useful both for the back takes that Colby talked about and for keeping them from putting their feet on the mat, which they'll try to do to put their feet and knee on the mat. We'll talk about that with the second technique I teach. But for now, I just want you to pinch your knees together, because what I don't want is for him to get away here. Second thing I want to be sure for this particular move that you're keeping your spine straight and your ear is on his thigh. Because you saw that Colby's sequence started when he kind of is able to pull his head out the back, right? If I just want to keep him here, I want to be able to do that. And you can do that by cupping his hip and closing your elbow, grabbing the lapel and closing your elbow, but I want you to put your ear right on their thigh. Not everybody does it this way. We'll talk about this in a sec. So you can either keep your elbow closed or hide your elbow, doesn't really matter from here. Now I'm the floor, and when the floor moves, Colby moves, right? So what do I need to do in order to make him move? I need to bridge. When I'm ready, I just put my feet on the mat, give him a quick pop forward. Now if you want, right, and stay right there for now, Colby, please, is that, of course, we can start popping our head out the back and going into that first sequence, or the crab ride sequence that Colby nodded to. But most people are not just going to let you knock them forward, right? So before I show the move we're going to do, I want to talk about how to make this safe for the person in Colby's position. You see his leg? You see how he's rotated his shin close to me? That's because I'm going to bridge him that way, and I don't want you to roll your buddy in an awkward position on their knee. The natural reaction that Colby's going to do, because he doesn't want to get bumped forward, he doesn't want me to come out and take his back, is to sit back on his hips, and as he does that, I'm just going to bridge up and come to the top. Right? The minute you can make this hip hit the mat, that's when the magic happens and you can just come up and take the top position if you want. That's the simple part. We're going to build on that. And you see also how if he won't let you do that, if he's like, I'm not going to sit back, then you just go into the back take that Colby just showed you. Right? So let's talk about making this bridge and how to make it happen. So again, enter the deep half however you want. From here, or from the coyote drive. One thing I want to mention, I prefer what's called a split grip. A split grip is where I have one hand on this hip, and this hip is over here sort of free. Some people will bring their head just to here. Nothing wrong with it. A lot of really good deep half players do this. I find this to be kind of all gas, no brakes though, because it allows him a lot more freedom of movement than I want. So me personally, I want my spine straight, my elbow here. Colby, move around a little. Exactly. Right? So, again, not good, not bad, just like what's our purpose? I want to kind of keep him stuck here. If I have access to the lapel, One thing Colby did that I felt that he didn't tell you is when he does this thumb down, see how high his left hip is? See how high his left hip is? When his left hip is low, very difficult for him to stop the sweep, right? I can now probably just go into it. If it's here, use it. If it's not here, I don't want you to rely on it. So typically, when I'm ready, feet come to the mat, bump him. If he doesn't go backward, cool, we'll take the back. If he does, we come right here. I'll say something more about where to go from there in just a second. Any questions so far? A couple details for how to stay out of trouble. Because what we don't want, and there are a lot of little remedies for this. Colby mentioned addressing the problem of him underhooking your arm, going for that sort of Kimura control. I'm going to talk about a different problem. Because if I'm here and my buddy is one of you long-legged, lanky humans, damn it, they will put their foot on the mat, they will walk their heel toward my butt. Go ahead.
I don't even know if I can.
I know, yeah, sure you can, Stubby. And now he can start to pass, right? Because now if I try and bump him, it's harder to bump him. He can put his knee on the mat. Now his underhook is a real problem. Before it wasn't a real problem. Now there are ways to address this, right? Every counter has a counter has a counter. But it's easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of trouble. So 2 small details to get out of trouble, to stay out of trouble here. We're going to get to our position. We maintain our good posture, right? With our spine straight, our ear on his hip bone, our elbow closed. If we can get the lapel and ratchet it down, all the better. Often, I will get both lapels and go under and grab both lapels. Feel free to play around with that. But even if you don't have any lapels, right? Here's how we stay out of trouble. If he tries to put his knee on the mat, I walk my own knee up, right? I just bring my knees up. It doesn't really matter if I have either hook or not. What we don't want, you feel imbalanced now? Put your feet on the mat. Now, much more balanced, right? So if he does this, my knee comes up, I rock him and I bump him. Then, if he doesn't sit back, we just take the back. If he does sit back, all I'm going to do is feet on the mat, and I'm going to bridge at a 45-degree angle. Me personally, especially if I have the lapels, but even if I don't, I'm going to try to go for my double underpass because I've landed right in the double under. Now sometimes he's going to have this leg more straight, at which point we can start doing our over-under style passing. Bernardo Faria does this. Jesse Lang in this gym does this a lot. When you are on top, solidify position and just make sure that you're safe, right? Don't get triangled. There's nothing more embarrassing than doing a good move and getting submitted immediately. That's why I prefer having double unders, right? Less can go wrong. Simple move, really powerful. Yeah, Jamie.
How do I feel safe opening my legs to bridge?
That's a great question.
Like, maybe it's just like I should always feel safe and I can't usually step out, but...
So, that's a great question. So, I'm going to answer it in 3 ways. So, everybody heard the question, how do I feel safe opening my legs to bridge? So, 3 things. First of all, timing, right? Every time you attack, you compromise a little bit of control. Every time you escape, you compromise a little bit of survival. So, playing around with the position will help you understand that. Second, keeping your knees close together and high to your chest, because it's very difficult for them to step out. And third, having a plan for if they do try to step out. Most people are going to try to put their knee on the mat this way. If they do, that's when we're going to go into kind of an X-guard style sweep, like a standing up with base sweep. If they back step out, that's when we wrestle up. Does that make sense? Everybody, is that clear to everybody? What's really cool about this is how much it connects to all your other guards. So if you play the Kylie style guard Colby plays, if you play the sort of shin-on-shin guard that Pat, Jesse Lang, folks like that do, this is a really great complement to it. Because if they compromise your guard at first response, then this guard is a really powerful secondary guard. Any questions before we try this move? Let's give it a shot, y'all. 1, 2, 3.